It's Christina of CraftyPaws. I'm here to share a process video with you guys. This is a CAS, or Clean and Simple card, that I'm going to be making for my nephew, who's going through some really difficult times applying to grad schools, and I wanted him to know he needs to believe in himself, and all of us here at home, we believe in him. So I thought using all of these cute fantastical creature stamps from Fawn would be the perfect card to make for him. So I picked out several stamp sets from Fawn. I picked out Yeti Set Go with this little Yeti here, Believe in Yourself with this jackalope, and Critters Ever After, which has the griffin, the dragon, and the unicorn. And I thought those would all make a great little gathering of magical creatures that could be rallying for him. What I've done is I've actually mapped out where I want each critter and which order I need to stamp it in order to create that 3D look. So the images that I want in the foreground, I need to stamp first, mask that off, and then stamp the images behind it. So the jackalope's going first, unicorn, yeti, then the dragon, and then the griffin. And I'm going to be clustering all of them, but leaving enough room for a die cut Believe to be tucked in underneath them. So what I've done is I've mapped out kind of where all the stamps will be. And I'm going to just mark really quickly, lightly with pencil. And now I can take all of these off and start stamping with my Misty. I'm just going to take some Memento Tuxedo black ink. I'm going to be simultaneously stamping on a Post-it note so that I can create a mask. And I'll be doing that for every image that's going to have another image behind it. You guys don't need to watch me fussy cut all of this out, but I just wanted to show you that's the next step. After finishing fussy cutting this little mask, I place that over the jackalope, and then I move on to the image that's going to be directly behind that jackalope, which is the unicorn. I just want to find the perfect placement for it, a little bit behind and kind of further back or up on the card. Now I've placed the unicorn here, and I'm going to pick that up with my Misty. And I'm inking it up with more Memento Tuxedo black ink and stamping it just where I wanted it to be. Building these kinds of single layer scene cards is really made so much easier with a tool like the Misty. Now I'm going to put another part of this Post-it note paper and put that right where the unicorn is so that I can create another mask. And I'm making sure that the sticky part of the mask or Post-it paper is where I'm stamping. And I'll just remove that lightly stamped image and more fussy cutting. When I've finished fussy cutting this unicorn, I place that mask over top of the stamped image, and now I'm going to be picking out the next image, which is the little Yeti. Not a lot of him is going to be behind the unicorn, just a little bit where his arm is there, but that's just enough to need that mask. Now I'm inking up the little Yeti, stamping him out, and shockingly he came out pretty cleanly too. Now I'm putting a little Post-it note again over top so I can do the second stamping to create the mask. Now the next image that I want to stamp is the dragon, but I don't want all of the details of the hind legs and the tail where it is stamped there. I actually want to have the tail lifted up, so I'll show you how to alter this stamp. So I'm carefully placing this additional Post-it note scrap, and I'm going to mask off all of those areas that I don't want stamped out. I do want to include the wings in full, but I don't want to include the tail exactly where it is or the feet, so here goes nothing. Now I'm carefully lifting up the stamp with the Misty tool, and I'm going to next ink up the dragon, and I'm stamping it out. Fingers crossed. Oh, and it looks pretty good. Now I'm wiping off the stamp, and I'm going to reposition it so that the tail is where I want it to be.
Now, in an abundance of caution, I'm putting another little Post-it note mask there so I know that I won't get any ink in areas that I don't want it. Now, I've lifted up the stamp with my Misty tool and I'm inking up just the tail area, and it looks pretty good.
Now, I don't need to mask any more of him, and this guy is going to go right here.
So one more time, I'm going to lift him up with my Misty tool, ink him up with my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and stamp him out. As we remove all the masks, we can see that we've really created a three-dimensional looking scene on one layer. On the dragon, you can see a few places
the lines haven't connected exactly right. You can just take a Copic multi-liner pen
and just fill in those little gaps.
Now I'm going to take an eraser and erase all of those little
placement lines that I made at the beginning, and now it's ready to color. And this is the finished card. I got to pick wild colors for coloring up all of the images since these are all fantastical creatures. If you guys are interested in the particular Copic marker colors that I used, please check out my blog post, which I will link to below. And then after I colored all of them up, I die cut the word believe, and it's from this little yellow bicycle die set. It's a great word die set, and I use the believe on gold glitter paper. And I just, for a little detail here, use an X-Acto blade and cut around the front right paw of the jackalope so that it looks like he's actually holding up the word a little bit or leaning up against it. And then lastly, I just did some dot coloring and did where I kind of imagined a line for the ground would be. I colored in using a couple of Copic markers, just dotted them around, clustered mostly around all the animals, and then a little bit down here in the corner. And then above where the sky would be, I did some blue dotting, and then I extended those dots so that it would be all the way to the upper right corner of the card as well. And that way there's kind of a visual movement across the card of those little dots, but they don't detract from the mystical creatures. And that's my card. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And thanks so much for watching.